Shana Tova, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this week and to our Life Talk. We have talked a couple of years ago now. We had talked about all of the holidays as we followed them around the wheel of the year. And then last year we talked about all of the moons that we follow around the year. And we are starting to bring in a little bit of some of the other celebrations of different traditions, different areas, and what they celebrate as we turn the wheel. Pretty much everything in life, when you look at it deeper, you can see that it follows the wheel of the year. And we are coming into the time of Rosh Hashanah. And as I've been talking a bit about some of the Kabbalistic concepts today, I thought it was appropriate and important to talk to you about why this holiday relates to you, even if you have nothing to do with Judaism whatsoever. It has some amazing concepts. It's a beautiful and bright time of the year, and it's another new year. We've talked over the years about a lot of various new years that we have throughout the year. Some of the more common ones you might be familiar with. Well, we've talked every year about how Samhain or Halloween is actually a New Year celebration. And then, of course, on the Gregorian calendar, the regular January 1st New Year, the Chinese New Year that happens in February, and there are so many different New Years throughout the whole year. On the Kabbalistic calendar, in the Jewish calendar, it is Rosh Hashanah, and it's a time of festivities, as we talked about with most of the holidays that we talked about as we got deeper into each of them throughout the year. It usually brings in a lot of feasting, and it brings in music, and it brings in festivities. Same thing with Rosh Hashanah. It brings in all of that as we come together to celebrate. As you think about what it is that you would like to reflect on as you evaluate yourself from this last year. It is said that during the time of Rosh Hashanah that the divine writes in the book of life, and it writes about what your story is. What was your epic tale of this last year? What did you do? Where did you hit the mark? Where did you maybe miss the mark a bit? And this is a time before that is written and recorded into that book of life. This is a time to reflect, because if you reflect on what you did, you might be able to change a little bit of the patterns that come from that. It's a time of great and amazing light. And it's a time where if you reflect on that and you ask yourself, as you think about, why did I treat my sister that way? Why did I talk to the neighbor in that tone of voice? Why did I cheat somebody out of something? You think about whatever it is that you may have done where you may have missed the mark this year, and reflect on that so that you don't repeat those same patterns this year, because everything is always about changing the cycle. That's why we change the wheel. That's why we turn to the next cycle. It's not about staying in the past. In Judaism, we're not talking about a concept of sin that hangs over your head and you're like left under it and you can't climb your way out. It's not about that at all. It's about the intelligence and the wisdom that comes within. And as you understand it, as you see it within yourself, then the light is revealed and you make different choices, and you make better choices when you know better. And so it's a way to draw our awareness to that so that we can make the best choices that we possibly can to create our epic tale that we choose to have in our own book of life. You don't have to believe in any kind of a god or a goddess or gods or goddesses, or maybe you believe in all of them. That is all completely up to you. You can still integrate the wisdom of the advice of taking time to reflect. At Rosh Hashanah, they have a beautiful instrument that they actually blow called the shofar. It's a ram's horn that they blow 100 times to remind you to reflect. There are many different ways that they blow that, creating a lot of different beautiful sounds. But it's a way to get your brain to go back within. I think a lot of times in life, we tend to run from wanting to reflect. It's far easier to look at somebody else and say, did you see how they missed the mark? That was terrible, wasn't it? It's much easier to do that than to look at yourself and think, maybe I missed the mark. Maybe I need to hit it better the next time. And that's one of the concepts that I really like in the Kabbalistic concepts, where they talk about it. It's not something that hangs over your head. We all miss the mark at times. It's not about doing something that's unredeemable. It's about simply reflecting on and recognizing, where can you maybe do better in this next year? How do you want your book to look in this next year? What chapters do you want to write as we turn the wheel? I really enjoy personally at several points throughout the year thinking of the different New Years and really starting life in different ways at each of the New Years. So you might think of different festivities that you want to do to mark the occasion as different New Years roll around, because it's a constant way to remind us that we are always reinventing ourselves. We are always coming up with new ways to create our epic tale, to dream our reality into being, and to dance that dream into awakening, and to live our life the way we choose, instead of falling into an easier method of sometimes not living consciously, or just falling into whatever seems to come out naturally, or stumbling your way through in the dark, instead of really radiating with the light and consciously choosing what your energy is. When you consciously pay attention to your energy, and you're responsible for the energy that you bring into the space that you enter into, then you are really creating an epic life that is going to draw in so much light in the way that you want it to be. Have you ever had a situation where you were in something and maybe it got a little bit heated, or maybe something surprised you, and so you reacted instead of pausing and reflecting and deciding how you wanted to choose your next words, and you react, and then afterwards you might feel bad about the way you react, or you wish that maybe you hadn't said something quite as harsh as you did. But this is a time of year to really reflect and to let go of the regrets, and to let go so that you can draw in more light into your vessel, so that you can create exactly what you want to create in this life. It's about really deciding what your actions are, deciding what your thoughts are, so that you can create the deeds and the memories, and leave a lasting legacy that's something that you're proud of. Are you proud of who you are? Are you proud of the reactions that you do? Are you proud of how you are in your friendships? Are you proud of what you do and how you are in your relationships with people, with coworkers, with family, with whoever you choose to have in your life? Or are there things that you regret? If you regret it, there's probably something you might be wishing that you did a little bit differently. We can never control what other people do. We can never control what their actions are, or how they may react to different things, and we can't necessarily get them to see our own perspective on anything, but we can choose how we live with kindness. We can choose how we decide to pause instead of reacting, and how to live with compassion, and how to show that we are a beacon of the light, and how to be an example within yourself. And maybe other people will reflect that, and maybe they won't, and that's all okay. That's up to them. There may be people that you decide to keep in your life, and there may be people that you decide to let go of in your life. Those are choices that you have, but you also have the choice to not react, and to consciously choose what your behaviors, what your thoughts, and what your deeds are. And this is a time to really reflect, so that you can take an honest stock of who you are, and what you've done, and what you've said, and what you've thought throughout this last year. This has been a year that challenged all of us in a lot of ways. We've done a lot of reflecting over the last year already, as we had been more confined to our homes, especially the year before. A lot of people were more confined to their homes, and it caused us all to pause. So during that time when you were reflecting the most over this great pause that we had in the world, what things came up? What changes did you decide that you wanted to do? What regrets did you have? Have you acted on those choices? Have you acted on those changes? Are you creating the life that you want to create? Are you living up to your potential? Are you being who you really, really could and should be? And when I say should be, it's that part of you, what do you want to be? There's nobody that says you should be this, you should be that. That's not the kind of should I mean. I mean, when you look inside yourself and you see what your potential is, and you ask yourself, am I living up to my potential? That's what this beautiful holiday is teaching us to do, to reflect on the past so we can examine and take stock of who we are. Find out what your strengths are. Learn where your weak points are so you can really live up to your potential and create that epic legacy that as you write your chapter out this year, that you are proud of it as Rosh Hashanah comes up again next year. And as we turn the wheel soon into the new year, October 31st. And then as we turn the wheel into the new year on December 31st. Each of those are again times to reflect, times to look back, time to think about who you are, who you want to be, and who you know inside yourself that you really are. Because you know when you look inside that you can see that spark of incredible light. And you know who you could be. So are you being that? Are you living up to that potential? What do you need to do to shift and change things if you aren't? I hope that gives you a little bit of food for thought and an amazing custom that can be a lot of fun if you want to bring into it this year is to bring in fruit. As we talked about a lot through all of the customs when we went around the wheel is pretty much they usually seem to include feasting. They tend to include music and a lot of festivities, whether you're talking about the Celtic traditions or the Norse traditions or the Peruvian traditions and also the Jewish traditions. So one of the fun aspects of food with Rosh Hashanah is the fact of bringing in fruit. So it is said that on the second day of Rosh Hashanah that you should try a new fruit, something you've never even tried before. So have some fun, go through your produce aisle and look and see if there's something maybe you've overlooked. Maybe you've never tried it before. Maybe you're somebody who's got a lot of fruits that you never tried before, so it'll be really easy for you. But it might be a little more challenging. But the stores have lots of interesting fruit, so find something new. And when you're eating that new fruit, think about the fact of it opening the doors and opening your mind to the fact of all the newness that comes in with the new year. It really represents that you're able to start things off on a new foot, where you can let go of the past, where you're not muddled in it, and you're able to shoot for your trajectory, hopefully hitting the mark as you write your epic tale for this new year. Another thing that is wonderful that they do for fruit that's again very similar with some of the Celtic holidays is apples and honey. So take some apple slices, dip them in honey, and it represents the sweetness of life. It represents that the sweet journeys, the sweet moments, the sweet memories that you're going to build, and all of the ones that you experienced last year and all the ones you're going to build this next year as you consciously create what your energy is, what you want your life to be, and you write that epic tale that will become your legacy. Everything you do today is working towards becoming your legacy in the future. Opening your vessel, allowing the light to come in, celebrate, and enjoy the wonderful festivities. It doesn't matter what religion you are, it is fun to celebrate and to find new ways all the time to draw in the light. So maybe you can even look up other New Year's that I haven't talked about yet. Let us know if you know some other New Year's, and maybe we'll talk about those as we turn the wheel into the new year and we journey into the next new year as we await the next new year of October 31st, one of my favorites. So have a great week, everybody, and Shana Tova.